Yesterday, Thursday the 18th of June, was a pretty foul day in the northwest. The rain was unrelenting. Here's a weather map for the day. And this was the view from a satellite. Now, weather like this is more than just inconvenient. For gardeners and growers, these are the perfect conditions for attack by an organism that once caused famine and mass starvation. The Irish famines of 1845 to 1849 are estimated to have killed around 1 million people. The disease that killed them was potato blight, and the organism that caused the disease is called Phytophthora infestans. Now, you might imagine in the 170 years since the famine that Phytophthora would have been eradicated, but no, it is still very much with us, and it continues to be a burden to farmers and amateur growers. This is what the disease looks like under a microscope. You're looking at the underside of a leaf. Hanging from the leaf is what appears to be an upside-down tree. The roots appear to be burrowed inside the leaf's cells. The stem appears to be hanging through the stomata, or pores that occur naturally in the leaf's surface. The stem then appears to branch, and there are structures that look like leaves attached to the stems. Well, this isn't an upside-down tree. This is what's known as a sporangiophore, a structure constructed by Phytophthora infestans to extract food from its target host plant and then spread itself by releasing tiny packets of spores. The spores are then carried by wind or rain splash to affect neighbouring plants, either potatoes or tomatoes, which are closely related. An entire crop can be infected and destroyed very quickly. In order to spread, however, the disease needs some very specific conditions. The temperature needs to drop no lower than 10 degrees on 2 consecutive days. Here's a graph of temperature in our area for the last 2 weeks. As you can see, the temperature has never dropped below 10 degrees in that time. But temperature alone isn't enough for the disease to spread. Relative humidity must be above 90 degrees for 6 hours on 2 consecutive days. Here's a graph of local relative humidity over the same 2-week period. When you line the two graphs up with one another, you can see that yesterday produced exactly the conditions needed to trigger the spread of blight. Fortunately, this information is freely available even to amateur gardeners by registering on a website called Blight Watch. It automatically tracks the weather conditions and will message you when the conditions needed for blight, called the Hutton criteria, are about to happen. The grower then has some opportunity to protect the crop, for example by using a fungicide. We don't use chemicals much in our garden. It isn't a certainty that we will be affected by blight because the Hutton criteria has been met, but we will now be extra vigilant to check the crop and remove affected growth at the first sign of any symptoms.